Well, I believe this is going to be the real test for you. We're going to find out today if you've got what it takes to be a good real estate agent, to be a successful real estate agent. We'll talk a little bit about that today, how to know if you're going to make it as a real estate agent. We're also going to talk about why I have a beard and what's going on with that. There's a specific reason for that, too. Welcome to today's morning meeting. I'm Greg Luther, the one guy that meets with you every single week to help you in growing your real estate business. Cool topic today because we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to be a good real estate agent. There's an awful lot of agents that are licensed but not practicing. They're not selling enough real estate. They're not closing enough transactions. And the biggest problem, they're not attracting a lot of clients. We'll talk about why that is today. But I think you'll find that there's a very specific type of person that's successful in the real estate business. And there's a lot of people that aren't successful, and you can actually know that before they get their license. You can know that within a 5-minute conversation, knowing if they're going to be good at sales or they're not going to be good at sales. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. One of the biggest things is, are you confident? Are you personable? Are you comfortable when you're talking to someone? And a lot of people, of course, a lot of those things you would say yes, right? Anytime somebody asks a question, you almost answer it because you know it's the right thing to say. It's like, if I say, hey, do you really want to be rich? Well, yeah, of course I want to be rich. No, you don't. Look at what you're doing every day. Come on, you're saying that because you know that's what you're supposed to say, but you're not taking the actions that would dictate that. In fact, you don't want to be rich because I can see what you're doing every day. It's like saying you want to be skinny. That's what you're supposed to say, but you can't say that while you're eating 3 Big Macs, right? So everybody says they want to lose weight, but you don't really mean that. You just know that's the thing you're supposed to say. If you meant it, you would act differently, myself included. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this sales side of things because I'll give you a little story time, tell you a little story about what happened this weekend. That might even lead into what's going on with this beard situation I got going on. But many of you know I just bought a horse breeding farm in Lexington, Kentucky. I closed on it on Friday, spent a lot of the weekend there meeting people for fences that I want to have repaired and new barn stuff that I'm doing and all of that. So I spent a lot of time there and I met a lot of people that are essentially in the sales business. No matter what you do, if you're a landscaper and you're going out to give a quote, you're in sales. If you cut down trees for a living and you go out to give a quote, you're in sales. If you build fences, if you're going out there to give that quote, you're meeting with someone to give a sales presentation. So I met multiple people over the weekend. And fortunately for me, I had my son with me. Many of you know Zach. He's 22 years old. He's a licensed agent as well. And he was with me, and he got to see that uncomfortable feeling when you meet a salesperson that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. If you've ever done this before, you meet some people that are really nice and comfortable and cordial, and it's just a cool conversation. And then you meet other people that's like, man, it just feels weird. It's kind of cringy. And we actually had that happen. And a lot of this comes down to their own self confidence and what they do and who they are. So I'll give you an example. And I want to kind of ad lib and try and teach this in a way that makes sense for you as a real estate agent. So I met some folks on repairing some of the fencing. I've got probably 18 or 20 different fields there for horses that are totally fenced in. They have the 4 wooden rails. You know how it is in Lexington. I have 18 to 20 fields. This is over 100 acres there. And there's a lot of boards down. There's some areas I want to completely rebuild the fencing. And there's some areas that are really nice that don't need anything at all. So I wanted to meet a couple of people. The first guy that showed up, first of all, he's late. That's the first problem, right? He shows up, looks like hell, uh, isn't prepared for anything at all, doesn't introduce himself well. He forgot to bring his smile. That's the first thing. Like, it's a little weird. You meet somebody out in an open field and they're just like talking to you without ever having any small talk, so to speak, right? And doesn't have a wheel for measuring. You know how they measure off the location by spinning the wheel like an appraiser would do. Doesn't have that with him. Doesn't have a notebook, can't take anything. He's just meeting me and looking at the field. Um, Not cordial at all. Doesn't do a really good job, and really doesn't close for the business. Like I paid cash for this farm. I told him I plan on spending $300,000-$400,000 on all the fields and all the upgrades I'm doing there. I'm building an additional barn for over $400,000. I'm dumping a lot of money into this, and he knows I'm all cash. I'm ready to take action right now. Never once tries to close the deal, is very uncomfortable the entire time, and almost has a little bit of a condescending tone to him because he's not real personable. The next guy that comes out starts telling me about his company and how long it's been in business, and that they're well known nationally and they've won awards and they've done. And I'm like, dude, did I ever say you weren't qualified? Why are you telling me all? I'm not saying you're not good enough. I'm not saying your company's not big enough for me. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying? I want a fence. Why are we talking about this? I want to talk about how quick I can get this done and how much it's going to cost me. Why do you keep trying to justify yourself to me? Why are you telling me about how long you've been doing this, or that you're third generation, or that you're licensed and bonded and insured and all of that stuff? While that is important, it's not what the customer wants. So you're given this whole presentation trying to justify yourself to me, which makes me think, shit, maybe they're not that good. If they have to convince me that they're just a qualified person to begin with, I want to meet someone to replace my fences or to repair my fences in some areas. Now, the third guy that comes out, incredibly comfortable, nice, shakes my hand. How you doing? Congratulations on your purchase here. Wow, this is beautiful. Tell me what you have in mind. Like, where are you going to put that barn? Oh, that's amazing. Like, he's very personable. Now, here's what happened. Let me fast forward so you see what happened with these sales guys. The last guy is by far the most expensive. As a matter of fact, I did the math this morning. He's 18% higher in cost than the others. That's who I'm going with. I'm going with the one that costs more. As a matter of fact, he's so busy, he can't even start for 3 months. I'm going with him. I'm waiting to go with him. You know why? Because he's comfortable. He listened to me. He understood me. He asked the right questions, and I felt like I connect with him better. So I want you to think about yourself as a real estate agent. If you're giving a presentation talking about your company or how long you've been doing, or trying to justify that you're actually qualified to begin with, it would be like you're worried to death about this surgery you're going to need. And the doctor's like, well, I brought a copy of my degree that shows you that I am a medical professional. I brought my grades that show you that I did pass the test here, so you can see this. You'd be like, dude, what are you, why are you convincing me that you're a doctor? I don't need that right now. So if you're the type that is just there to do business and you're not there to really be in the people business, you've heard before, he's a people person or she's a people person. That's a real thing. How well you communicate with people rather than being nervous, uncomfortable, clammy, not being willing to ask for the order. You have to be bold to be in sales. We know that's the case. You have to be willing to get a yes or get a no. The last thing you want to do is get a maybe. Get a, well, I presented it to them. I think they're going to get back with me. They said that it was nice to meet me and they're going to think about it and they're going to call me back. No, get a yes or a no. Stop being cowardly with what you're doing. So to find out if you're really going to make it in this business or not, you really need to think about how comfortable you are talking to humans. How well do you do creating a relationship with them, creating rapport? Rapport doesn't mean, oh, I see they went to this high school, I went to that high school too. It's not trying to connect to them on that level. It's learning a little bit about what they're doing. Like me being in the passenger seat, me being in the consumer seat and seeing these salespeople, I realized very quickly that I would go with the premium. Like, there's an awful lot of people in this world that are not going to say, well, that guy that was an asshole, he was cheaper, so I'm going with him. Because, everybody just wants to save money and nobody has money these days. So they're all just going to go with cheap. No, I ain't going. I would not do the fences before I would work with that guy. So I want you to think about how you're presenting yourself, because what happens is if you're not comfortable yourself inside, not how you present yourself, but what you really feel, if you're not comfortable meeting strangers, finding out their real estate needs, whether they're buying, selling, wherever they're making that move, and then jumping into the car with them to find out, like, okay, where are we going with this thing? Why are you making the move? What's your lifestyle going to look like? If you're not willing to go with them on this journey, it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to keep just selling you. And you know that feels bad, and that tension starts to rise a little bit. So what we find is if you're uncomfortable meeting them, you're uncomfortable giving a presentation, you're uncomfortable with not the possibility of being told no, the guarantee that you will be told no a lot. You are guaranteed in sales to be told no a lot. If that bothers you for some reason, if you don't know that's part of the plan, like you're never going to hit home runs if you're afraid of striking out, because there's never been a batter in history that had more home runs than he had strikeouts. That includes Babe Ruth. That includes Reggie Jackson. That includes the steroids, Barry Bonds. They had more strikeouts than they had home runs. So if you're worried about those things, listen up, listen up. You will unknowingly, subconsciously sabotage yourself so that you don't put yourself in that position. You know it's going to feel uncomfortable, so you're not going to call the FSBO. You're not afraid of the FSBO saying no. You're afraid of them saying yes. You're afraid of you having to meet them and them having pressure on commission or pressure on price or pressure on wanting to list with you or whatever the case is. If you feel uncomfortable in a sales position, you're not going to put yourself in that uncomfortable position. So you will justify to yourself why you're not sending the letters. Oh, I've sent letters before and that didn't work. That's not the reason you're not sending them. You don't have an issue with believing that marketing works. You have an issue with being afraid it might work because you're going to get in front of them and you're going to make everybody uncomfortable. You know how we fix that? We work on our communication. We get better at how we speak to our prospects, because for a lot of agents, you don't have call reluctance. I definitely don't recommend cold calling at all, but you don't have call reluctance. If you were calling old prospects that you haven't converted, if you were to call them up, let's say they went to your website and you never converted them, calling them up, if you have that call reluctance, it's probably because you are uncomfortable. Whatever's going to happen, it makes you uncomfortable. I can tell you the guy I met regarding fencing, the guy I met regarding cutting down trees, the guy I met regarding all of the stuff I'm doing out there. I met an HVAC guy. If they're comfortable, they're cool with you saying no. They don't have an issue with that. They're cool with you saying yes. They're cool with you asking them questions. They're cool with you quizzing them as to their qualifications. None of that stuff bothers them. But the ones that are uncomfortable, the ones that feel like they need to justify themselves, the ones that just close up and wait to be asked questions rather than leading the way, they're never, ever, ever going to make it in sales. And I've met agents over the course of the last 25 years where before they even got licensed, of course, as I've dated people, the woman would say, well, hey, you're the coach here. How would I do if I got my real estate license? Not very well. I would tell them if they are going to make it or if they're not. And it comes down to how well you speak with people. If you're a people person, if you know how to close a deal, if you go after what you want. If you picture 3 people, friends, coworkers, family members, whatever, you can identify who would do really well under pressure face-to-face with someone to convince them to do something, as opposed to who would not do well. You're either a leader or you're a follower. And that's not to crush anybody's dreams. I'm actually saving you bankruptcy. If you don't change who you are, because by the way, you can be a chameleon. You can change what you're doing. You can be dominant in a sales position, even if that's not how you usually are. I'm not saying be rude or be pushy, but you got to lead them towards what they called you out to do in the first place. If they call you about selling their home and you start talking about your freaking brokerage and how qualified you are, instead of getting them to their desired goal, how many of you are thinking right now, I need to revamp my listing presentation. I need to revamp what I'm doing for buyers right now, right? And giving them a presentation since I have to have them sign an agreement with me now. So there's 2 factors that will decide whether you're going to make it or not. Number 1, how you feel about marketing and creating a solid offer. If you think for some reason that marketing doesn't work, you're not going to make it in this business. You know where you're going to make money from? The current list you have. 90% of my business comes from past client and refer. Well, that's why your business sucks. And that's why it's the same every single year. If you may, I don't care what the number is. Let's say you gross, this is a really gross number, but if you grossed 120,000 a year, you're not making that much. That's what you're grossing. But if you gross 120,000 a year, that's what you're going to gross every year. And you're going to play around with, I tried this lead source. I tried this CRM. I tried this. You're not real serious about marketing. So the number one factor is, how do you feel about marketing? And you can't market anything if you don't have a good offer to begin with. We got to dress you up a little bit. We got to fix up what it is that you offer, not physically, but what you're offering to the public. So that's number one. How do you feel about marketing? And number two is, how do you feel about sales presentations? If this were a training right now and then I rolled into a sales presentation where I were offering you something, I'm not. But if I rolled into a sales presentation where I'm offering you something right now, do you get uncomfortable? Oh, he's about to sell me something. Oh, I knew this was going to be a sales pitch. You better be as excited as you can be. You know why? Because someone who makes tens of millions of dollars a year is about to give a sales presentation and you're about to learn some shit. You better be taking notes. You better be excited. You better see where Greg said this or where he added this in, or, oh, that's really good. When you go to the fair, you're missing out on the caramel corn. You're missing out on the beef jerky stand. You're going over to where the sales presentation is for the pots and pans because you want to see that guy give a sales presentation. Oh, he's probably good. He's probably going to make me buy it. I would recommend you buy it. I would recommend you see if there's an upsell, because this is how you learn about sales. If you're uncomfortable being on either side of a sales presentation, you're not going to do very well at sales. If you don't like being sold, you will subconsciously, unknowingly to you, you will not give a strong sales pitch because you don't like to be sold. So you will think they don't like to be sold. You know what I want? Freaking fences. That's what I want. I want this tree cut down. I want fences replaced. I want my HVAC fixed. I don't give a damn about how long your company's been in business. I don't care at all about that. I care about getting what I want. Can you get me to my desired goal? So those two factors are, number one, how do you feel about marketing? What's your relationship with marketing? And number two, what's your relationship with sales, with a sales presentation? If you don't like it yourself, if you don't like to be put in that position, you're not going to like putting others into that position. So those are a couple of factors to think about. And if you're aggressive and you're willing to take calculated risk versus being timid and scared, or, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? Well, how about if you don't do it then, and then you're guaranteed it won't work? How about that? How about if we just keep you broke? Would that work? Right? If I want you to, what I used earlier, call a FSBO. If you call a for sale by owner, oh my gosh, what if they say no? Well, how about if you just don't call them? At least now you know you're guaranteed to have a no. You're guaranteed you won't list their house. Why would you take a chance of listing their house? Let's just guarantee that you get no money, because that'll keep you comfortable. How you feel about sales will determine if you're going to win or not. So for so many agents, oh, I'm struggling. I'm a new agent. I heard it takes time. It doesn't take time. It takes 0 days for you to get your first deal, if you're taking the right approach and you have the right mental mindset, the right presentation. If you go out to war and you suck as a soldier, you're going to get killed out there. It's very simple. If you go out and you put them in an uncomfortable position, I don't care if you discount to nothing, they're not working with you. I didn't care what that guy's price was. I had to pull it out of him to even find out. I had to beg him to get information from him because he sucked. He sucked as a salesperson. So you have to really think about, if you put yourself in your prospect shoes, that home buyer or home seller, are they comfortable with you? Do they feel relatable with you? Does it feel happy, excited, comfortable, relaxed? Or does it feel very weird? Like nobody can wait for this meeting to end. Where is a comfortable place that I don't seem rude to say no, thank you? Because that's ultimately how it feels if you don't have a great presentation. So, you've got to ask yourself as an agent, do you make things happen for your business, or do you wait for things to happen to your business? Look at today. Look at tomorrow. Do you know exactly what you're doing to make things happen for your real estate business? Or are you waiting for something to happen? Are you waiting on past clients or referrals to call you? Sometimes you prompt them to ask them, hey, do you need anything? Is that really what you're doing? Or are you being proactive in the approach that you're utilizing here? So if you stress about costs as a real estate agent, you're going to fail. If you stress about income as a real estate agent, you're going to win. You've heard me say before, you don't have a problem with expenses, you have a problem with income. If every day you're worrying about your bills, or you're worrying about your costs, or you're worrying about, I'm behind on my payments, or you're worried about how the heck am I going to get some money, all of that crap it's not going to help you in any way at all. You need to be stressing about the income. How do I get more income? You have a problem with income. You don't have a problem with expenses. If you can get that side down, and it does take money to make money, that as long as you've got a good system, the more you invest into that system, the better off you're going to be. So I was most excited about the fact that with me meeting those salespeople like that, I happened to have my son with me because he learned a lot. Because I asked him, I was like, how did that sales presentation feel? He said, felt very uncomfortable. Yeah, we're the ones with the money. We're the ones willing to sign right now. And it felt uncomfortable to us. Imagine how the salesperson felt. Let's see how the next one does. Now, that brings me, by the way, to the whole beard situation. This isn't going to be here forever. It's just going to be here for a very short period of time. Damn, it looks kind of good, though. My son, he's 22 years old. You know how it is when you're 22. My son decided that he's growing a big full beard, and the only reason dad doesn't grow a beard is because I can't grow one as nice as his. So it's the whole ego thing. He says, well, men that would have patchy beards and it doesn't come in correctly, that's the reason they don't have. Okay, dude, this is 5 days. So I'm going to ask some help from you, by the way. I want you to let me know in the comments here. I want you to leave a comment for me. Wow, Greg, you look great with a beard. Wow, that looks really nice. Your beard is very full. I mean, look at the foliage. This is a fertile area here. I don't have the problems he thinks I have. So let me know in the comments here. He'll never watch this whole thing, but I'll be like, look, everybody commented on how great my beard looks here. 5 days worth. I'm about to shave it off. But it's just a father and son kind of thing, of course, that he believes the reason I don't have a beard is because, look, dude, when I was your age, I had the same thing. I was trying to be more of a man than I really am. Now I'm trying to look younger. I'm not trying to look older. I'm doing everything I can to look younger. But yeah, this is a little test that I've been running to see kind of what I think about it, what he thinks about it, and ultimately what everybody else thinks about it as well. So don't worry, I'm not changing my look or anything like that. It's just a little fun we had over the holiday weekend. I had, the 3-day, 4-day weekend, whatever it becomes when we have these holidays here. But closing on that farm was very exciting for me. Putting this kind of money into it is not, but that's part of it. Seeing it develop the way you want it to be. I'm very excited to have it happen. But what a great lesson, learning from all different industries, all different people that are really in sales. They go out and they meet someone for a sales presentation. You'd be surprised at how many of them don't, like the one guy didn't even have a wheel to measure it. If I would have said, yep, I hate you, but I want to work with you anyway. He had no way to take my money. He couldn't measure it. He couldn't quote it. He couldn't get a signature. He couldn't get a deposit. He couldn't get anything. He came out to talk to me. And I was like, you didn't bring anything with it? No, this is just first meeting. Usually we come back if we're going to, if somebody's interested, we'll come back. What the hell would you come back? I want to drive back to Kentucky again to meet with you? So it's such a great lesson learning from other industries and meeting random salespeople, sitting through various sales presentations so you can improve what it is that you offer. If you get that side of it down and you realize that you don't need to justify yourself or your company or how long you've been doing it or that you've sold homes in the air, they don't care about that. I want fences. Can you do it? How quickly can you do it? What do you charge? Then, okay, that all sounds good. Now, are you licensed, bonded, insured? Can you be on time? Do you have good workers that actually show up? Because nobody has that anymore. Then we get to those other details. But why would you do all that before they decide if they like you to begin with? I'm literally choosing the most expensive guy. He's 18% higher than the second guy. And I'm doing it because he's a heck of a lot more personable. I feel more comfortable with. I feel like if there's a problem, I could just call him up. We could talk about it and fix it, rather than that uncomfortable feeling I felt from the one that had no idea what he was doing. So get good at sales, get good at being comfortable talking to people. That is a teachable skill, by the way. I'm not trying to crush your dreams or tell you you're not going to be an agent, but I will tell you, you will fail as an agent if you don't fix this. If you have those issues, not a problem. It's just a personality difference, right? You have to fix that or you will fail. Let me be the coach that's telling you. You will fail if you don't work on your people skills. It's a skill, right? It's not a talent. It wasn't given to anybody. Nobody knows how to walk, let alone speak when they're born. Everything you do is what you're taught. So you can learn how to do a much, much better job in face-to-face communications with people. But if you find you always avoid communicating, you got to figure out how to fix that. If you're, let's say the trash ran today at your house and you say, oh, the trash ran, I got to go out and get my trash cans. And you get ready to go out and you're like, oh, the neighbor's out there. I'll wait on him to go inside. Okay, he went inside. Now I can go out and get my trash. If you're avoiding talking to other people, I think I said avoiding. If you're avoiding talking to other people, that's something you need to work on, because every human you meet needs a place to live. That conversation you could have had with your neighbor might have been a deal for you. Then you're going to be mad when they listed with someone else. So you got to get in that people business. You got to get comfortable. You got to be willing to talk about their goals. Oh, you're moving to Florida? Tell me more about that. Sell them on why they're making the move in the first place. Stop talking about you. Stop talking about where you advertise. Stop talking about how you build the watch. Start talking about meeting their needs, getting them where they're looking to go. Oh, your grandkids are growing up and you want to be closer to them. What are your grandkids' names? Oh, wow. How old are they? That is building rapport. Not that I want to be friends with them or any of that, but it's making them comfortable that you can get them to their grandkids. You can get them to their goal. That's really your goal here in your presentation. So stop being so clammed up about what you're doing or feeling you need to justify yourself. Just show them that you care about what it is that they are trying to accomplish and that you have the ability to get them there. That's what's going to make you succeed. And cost is only a factor in the absence of value. So you don't have to worry. It doesn't matter how cheap you go. If they don't like you, they're not working with you. As a matter of fact, you can charge a premium. If they like you, they will go with you. And we've proven that here this weekend. And this is after I've already dropped $2 million in the last week, literally cash money out of a checking account. $2 million dropped, and now we're looking at $15,000, $18,000 per field. I'm not trying to save money. I want people that I know will do a good job. I can have a conversation with them. If I have a problem 5 years later, I can call them up. Like all of those things that go through a prospect's mind, you need to figure out what that is for you. So when you meet buyers and you meet sellers, you're giving a presentation that helps them, not convinces them that you are the one. Show that you can help them. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you today. Any thoughts, comments that you have below? How do you feel you do when it comes to sales and being comfortable and getting that prospect comfortable? Do you see a lot of comfortable smiling and happiness, or do you see the smile with no teeth, right? Just okay, it's really uncomfortable. Let me know in the comments here, how well do you do? Do you think you could do a little better? If I do some sessions on that, would that be helpful for you from a communication standpoint to kind of get better at what you're doing? Is that some type of training you'd like to see as well? We'll talk a little bit about that. But ultimately, you have to be comfortable with what you're doing. I witnessed it myself this weekend, and price was nowhere near first on my list. And I realize you'd say, oh, Greg, you're not everybody because everybody else is this. Listen, he's got an awful lot of customers, and that's the case for everybody there. So I want you to get comfortable making them comfortable. Let me know your thoughts on this, any questions you have. And I've got a lot of training coming up here. So make sure you are following the channel and you ring the bell, you turn on notifications so that you can get that. And I'm happy to have you here with me. Thanks so much for joining. I'm Greg Luther, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye for now.